Hey everybody, it's Saturday morning, which means it's time for Right on SC. We're going to go on the air here in just a couple of seconds. Welcome to the show. All right, topic for today's show is literary devices. We're continuing on from last week. We took on personification and anthropomorphism, which, by the way, if you hadn't paid attention to anthropomorphism before, once you have an in-depth conversation about it like we did last week, you see it everywhere. Holy cow. Like all this week I've been haunted by anthropomorphism all this week. I'm like, oh, look, it's another talking animal. So there's that. So we did that last week. And this week we're going to be focusing in the beginning of the show on similes and metaphors. And then we get into imagery, and then we're going to talk a little bit about symbolism. And I found motifs. So I have a feeling the second half of the show is going to be hijacked by a motif conversation.
A motif? What do you mean motif?
Yeah, like so motifs are things that get repeated again and again to underscore particular themes in the story. So if you think about like the one they used was Little Fires Everywhere, where they use fire consistently throughout the story. And I was thinking about Anna Karenina, where the trains are used throughout the story, and the trains are underscoring this, like the difference between modern society and like old school Russian society. So anyway, so we're gonna talk about that. I think the motifs thing is actually gonna be the deepest part of the show. So pay attention and listen in that second half. Have you used similes, metaphors? Like, is it the kind of thing that you're aware that you're doing, or does it just sort of happen and then you have to go back and like strike the ones that don't work?
I usually use them at some point in time if I come up with a good one.
Yeah.
Problem is I seem to come up with more bad ones than good ones. I guess the best ones are the ones where I'm not trying.
Yeah. Yeah.
They just naturally flow in the art of writing.
I like the metaphor piece a lot. I use a lot of metaphors, but then I use it mostly in my nonfiction. I write a lot of metaphors in nonfiction. But in fiction, the similes will show up and there'll be like 3 in one paragraph. And then you got to go through and just take out like 2 of the 3 because you can't overuse them.
Right.
I think the biggest thing with similes and metaphors is just to not overuse them. And you
yeah. Like,
do you know you're overusing them? Like,
when I go back and edit, then I see 2 in a row like that.
Yeah.
You sat down like blankety blank blank blank.
Yeah.
And she rose like blank blank. It's okay.
Yeah. And then you got to go back and go, that's too many of these.
Well, those aren't even metaphors, those similes. I think the similes are more obvious to notice.
Yeah, with the like and the as.
Yes.
Yeah, I think that too. So we're gonna talk a lot about that today, and then imagery, which I think of mostly on the poetry side, but we're gonna be able to get into like kind of how fiction authors use it as well. So show starts in just a few minutes. Log in to makethepointradio.com and listen to us live out there. You can also tweet us or comment here and respond. This video will be up until right after the show when I take it down and give it just to our patrons. So thank you to those of you who are patrons of the show. If you're not yet, go out to patreon.com/rightonsc. Get these cool behind the scenes ahead of the broadcast. We'll be on the air in a matter of minutes. Thanks for being with us.